Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever of Gold Penguins Meet the Founder series. I'm Wes and today we're joined by James, who's the founder of CodeWP. How are you doing, James?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be on this first episode of the podcast. I'm very excited.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Let's just sort of jump right in, I guess. So first of all, can you tell us a bit about CodeWP, what it's for and who it's for, really?
Yeah, CodeWP is a niche AI product that generates code specifically for WordPress creators. The general product itself is oriented towards people who build WordPress websites and want specific functionality that is best suited by a code snippet rather than a plugin or complete custom development. So this product gives people who may or may not be technical the ability to really speak what they want into existence. They say, I want this code, and out comes that code. Because we're specifically oriented towards WordPress, we can really niche down into creating specific UI for a WordPress creator, training specific models to create really custom, accurate WordPress code, and really just build into that community rather than try to do everything at once with a more general AI product.
Sounds really exciting stuff. Very interesting. So where did the original idea for CodeWP come from? Was it sort of a problem or a pain point, let's say, you experienced in a past business or?
So I've been involved in WordPress for about 8 years now. I got my start in digital business itself, doing WordPress websites for local businesses, building using page builders, no real code, no real technical ability, but kind of just implementing WordPress websites. And that's how I got started. Through the years, I became more and more technical. I learned PHP. I learned how to build front end, build back end, and really self-taught myself up to a full stack developer where I could go and build applications with PHP and WordPress and stuff like that. So my background in WordPress really led me towards this product. I founded an agency around 4 years ago called Isotropic. We scaled pretty quickly and started building really big projects, primarily for WooCommerce D2C websites and public company stuff like that. Really big projects, a lot of moving parts, a lot of custom things, and a lot of developers. So over those 4 years, I kind of realized that there were issues that could be addressed. And the way these things were addressed before AI was hiring specific positions, coding specific snippets, coding custom WordPress plugins, stuff like that. Once AI came around, and this is something I was always very interested in, I studied AI in college. I was always just plugged into that industry. Once AI came around, it became super apparent that, at least on the surface, AI could be really good to create these custom code snippets. We had a lot of code from the 4 years of building projects for clients. We had a lot of snippets. We had a lot of custom plugins. We had a lot of learnings of, oh, we know people are always going to want to create this customization. We know this customization is really easy to do with custom code. Why not try to leverage AI for that? So as a personal project, I just started playing around with the OpenAI GPT-2 model when it was out, then GPT-3, and kind of just plugged myself into the AI community to understand where the industry was going and how it could really benefit me and my personal workflow of building WordPress websites, paying developers to go and create code, and trying to kind of cut that out, trying to be able to really do what the platform does now, in that I want to give it a specific task and I want it to create code for that specific task. So it was an internal project. It worked really well. I did a lot of training. I did a lot of custom AI fine-tuning, stuff like that, to really start making a product that worked for me internally. And I also started sharing it with the general WordPress community. I have a WordPress community that follows my agency and my content on Facebook. And this internal project, I shared a screen recording with these thousands of people in this Facebook group, and people really found it super interesting. They thought it could really benefit them and their workflow. And it made perfect sense because we all do the same thing. We all build WordPress websites. We all have the same issues. And they saw a screen recording of something that completely solved that issue. So that kind of grew and grew and grew. And it got to the point where we are today, which is a fully fledged AI platform specifically for WordPress creators, with a lot of things in the works for the future as well. But that's really the founding story. I've been involved in WordPress for a super long time. I really understood the pain points that I personally had. I built a product, and it wasn't even a product. I built a tool for myself to solve my own issue, shared it with the community, realized that more people wanted it, and then productized it from that, built an MVP, and then now we're here with a pretty successful AI platform specific to the WordPress niche.
No, I can imagine. It's really nice to hear the sort of sense of community behind the tool as well, and sort of, helping them build together basically. So, I mean, tell us, James, how are you making money from the tool? Is it sort of mostly subscription based, or what's the revenue split?
Yeah, the tool right now is a complete subscription model. Basic SaaS, you pay me a monthly price and then you get access to the platform. It's actually funny because when we launched the tool, the MVP had no billing built into it. And I call it an MVP, but it was really a way for me to show my community members how they could use the tool themselves. What CodeWP was in the beginning was a bunch of Python scripts and a bunch of manual workflows to kind of prod an AI model to create this custom code snippet. Specifically for me, I was building a lot of WooCommerce websites. So I wanted to create custom WooCommerce snippets. And it was just a really complex tool that I wanted to share with the community. And I tried sharing the code in the beginning. That didn't work. So I was like, all right, I'll just build a nice, simple, easy GUI on top of all of this code and what I've been doing kind of on my end of things and share with the community. So I shared the initial MVP with no pricing, no even thought of productizing it into what it became today. But eventually it became very clear. People loved it. People were sharing it outside of the isotropic community into the general WordPress community. More and more people signed up. I also saw the OpenAI bill and the Google Anthropic bill going up and up and up. So I was like, all right, we can't be doing this for free anymore. We have to start thinking about this as a business. So I implemented just a standard markup, basically, of here's how much it costs for me to run the platform. I'm just going to mark it up a little bit so you guys can use it and I'm not going to be in the red. And then again, it grew and grew and grew and kind of became more of a product rather than a side project or a passion project. And we really formalized the pricing to be your standard SaaS of a free plan, a pro plan, and an agency plan, where the general way we make money is bring people into the free plan, show them that the product offers them value in their everyday workflow, and then upsell them to get unlimited features and additional features such as specific modes for plugins, specific things that will really offer them value. My whole mentality behind pricing a product and selling a SaaS is offer the user value and they will be more than happy to pay you for it. So that's kind of what we fell into. And it took a few months of iteration of, oh, I'm not going to even make this a product. Oh, now I have to kind of gate it behind a paywall just because I'm losing money on it. And then eventually it kind of grew into, all right, let's think about how to create a legitimate SaaS company to, number one, allow us to build more and more cool features for the users. And number two, really become a company rather than, as I said before, a passion project.
Very interesting. I mean, one of the most important questions I guess I can ask is sort of, with the prevalence of sort of mainstream AI over the last, 8 to 12 months, let's say, with a consumer base, what sets CodeWP apart from the rest of sort of AI code generators on the market? What makes it special? So
the company itself really kind of leveraged the AI wave. When it was first launched, it was November. That was, I believe, around the time ChatGPT was launched. That was when AI was going mainstream. Before that, there were AI products and there was talk about AI, but I think ChatGPT was really what made people realize that AI will be here to stay and it will impact your day-to-day workflow for better or for worse. So it's time to start adopting. So we really followed those trends to grow the company and the platform. I think really where CodeWP is unique is it targets a specific group of people. It targets WordPress creators. It does not target anybody else. It doesn't sell a product to anybody who writes PHP code. It doesn't sell a product to anybody who wants to build a website. It really focuses on a group of people that I know very well because I've been a part of it for 8 years. I know their problems. I know the constraints of the platform. I know the technical constraints as well. And by focusing on WordPress, we're able to differentiate ourselves, number one, on brand, but number two, in the technical sense of AI, we can really leverage our better data set than anybody else specific to WordPress to create code that is always going to be the most accurate for WordPress. And I think niching down into this specific industry, which I'm using the word niche, but it's a humongous $600 billion WordPress industry. By niching down into this specific industry, we're able to, number one, attract more users, and number two, offer a better product than anybody else can, because they're all focused on general code generation. And if you try to do everything great, you'll do everything good, but you'll never do one thing incredibly well. And that's, I think, the mentality behind the product, in that we'll always stay focused on WordPress because it's a humongous market that not many people realize how big it is. And it's also something that we can genuinely outperform anybody else, even Microsoft themselves, with billions and billions of dollars, by focusing on one specific platform with its own unique constraints, with its own unique requirements, and creating an AI platform that only serves them and serves them really well.
It sounds very promising. I mean, on that note, sort of, how do you see CodeWP sort of growing and developing further, let's say over the next 5 to 10 years, for example?
Yeah, so you caught us kind of in a pivotal part of the company where we've been around for many months and we have tens of thousands of users going onto the platform. Every day we have hundreds of thousands of snippet generations. There has been a lot of usage of our tool. And over the past months, it's become very clear that this tool is great, but it's really just the third iteration of an MVP that I put together in a weekend to show a community how AI could benefit them. So with all that said, there are a lot of features missing. There's a lot of unpolished things. There's a lot of things that could be done better. And it's become very apparent as we scale and have more and more users and more support requests and feature requests and stuff like that, that there are multiple things that we could build to offer users a lot more value, allowing us to raise our prices, allowing us to capture more users into the platform. So that's what we're working on right now. You caught us right in the middle of the end of the old platform and the beginning of the new platform. We've been hiring developers. We've been designing a completely new interface for a conversation to code platform specific for WordPress. We've been laying the foundation for additional features, not just code generation, but also troubleshooting and security and other things that will offer our user of a WordPress creator a lot of value in their day-to-day workflow and workload. So we're rebuilding the platform right now and launching a ton of new features that will really give a WordPress creator an all-in-one suite of code generation, website troubleshooting, conversational customization of websites, insights, security, just a lot of new features that we've identified by running this platform over the past couple of months, really figuring out like what users want and also where things break down on the current platform, where things can be done better. And then we're working to integrate that into the new platform, or at least build the technical rails to kind of bolt that into the future version of this tool.
Okay, I mean, seeing as you touched on it then a bit, I'll pursue it a little further. Do you have any sort of exact future features set into stone that you could give us maybe a glimpse into?
Yeah, so CodeWP is marketed to people as a code generation platform. It uses AI to generate code for WordPress. There are different modes, there are different presets, there are additional features, but at its core, it creates code. And that's great. And a lot of people want that, but a lot of people also want other things. We can look into the WordPress market right now and see some of the biggest companies in our industry are security companies. There are humongous companies that offer 24/7 troubleshooting and support that people pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month to have on retaining. There are a lot of opportunities in WordPress that isn't just code generation. So while we're rebuilding the platform to improve the code generation experience, there are two really core features that are coming in the next several months that expand us from CodeWP, a code generation platform, to an integrated AI suite for WordPress. So the other two features, in addition to code, are going to be security and troubleshooting. Those are the two biggest pain points that people have in WordPress. And there are two things that we can do really well with AI. It's something that we could go and build a better security plugin. We could go and build a better troubleshooting company, but we can also do it with AI at a lot cheaper, and also something that a user themselves, who may or may not be technical, can go and actually use. So it's going to be a three-pronged feature set for the new product in the next couple of months. We'll transition from code to integrated AI. And the three core features are going to be code, which we've refined over 6 months, security, which is a humongous industry with juggernauts like Wordpress really being the legacy players that we're disrupting with AI, and troubleshooting as well, where a user can connect their WordPress website, say they click the wrong button, everything goes blank, they're freaking out. They can go onto our platform and say, all right, you have a direct look into our backend code. You have a direct look into our backend logs. You can see what server running, stuff like that. Tell me what's wrong with the site. And the platform will tell them what's wrong with the site. So those are the three really core additions that will be launching very soon, in addition to just the overall platform rewrite and launch in itself. There are a lot of future plans, but I think we really want to target these three core features that are cornerstone features, and then kind of build off of what we see users liking and using. And something else that is worth noting is these features are informed by our users. So I've built a lot of products in the past. I've run a venture-backed startup. I've run a digital agency. I've launched many smaller quote unquote SaaS companies. And something that I had to grow to learn is I'm not always right. Like, I think that somebody wants something, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So over the years, I've grown to kind of really prioritize user feedback and user requests as a way to not just look at it and be like, all right, now let me just point my devs here and build this feature, but look at it as a compass to say, if every user is requesting security features, if every user is taking code that they found on Stack Overflow and pasting it into the existing platform and asking if it's secure, there's definitely an opportunity here. And I may think that security is a good idea, but I can genuinely back it up with a lot of information that customers really wanted. So these three core features are number one, impacted by what users want and how users leverage the existing platform. And then number two, market research and my general understanding of the industry. But these three features are features that people really want. So it's something that I'm really excited to launch to the masses, because I know people want it, and it's going to be very rewarding and exciting when people actually start using it and start saying, oh, this is what I asked for 3 months ago. I can't believe you actually built it and built it right. So very excited for the future of the tool. Very excited to kind of transition into the integrated AI for WordPress, already capitalizing on the first mover advantage we have in code generation, and really just build something that people want and use.
All sounds very promising. I mean, wish you the best of luck with all those. So just taking a step back now, maybe, let's think about the sort of future of AI in general, more of a whole. How do you see the future, let's say, in 10 years' time, the AI market? How do you think it'll affect tools like yours, for example, or just the general consumer that's using something like ChatGPT?
I think AI in 10 years is so difficult to think about just because of how quickly things have moved. So the Transformers paper, which is basically what all of modern AI is based off of came out in late 2017, I believe. And since then, everything kind of exploded. It went from, oh, look at this cool AI tool that will predict the next word of what you're typing. Look at this cool AI tool that classifies sentences based on sentiment. And then it started being like, look at this AI tool that writes an entire essay. Like, oh, this essay may or may not be human level yet, but look at this essay. And then it becomes, look at this essay that I can't tell if a student wrote it, if a PhD wrote it, if an AI wrote it. I got no idea. Then it's, look at this AI leveraging the same technology that creates photorealistic images. And now the photorealistic images are so photorealistic, it looks like a legitimate photo. It's crazy how fast we've moved in the 5-6 short years since this initial breakthrough. So to think about 10 years into the future is, I think, for me, impossible. We can really speculate and think about different things, but I think give it 10 years, we will have a completely different way people interact with the economy, people interact with digital devices. We might not even have websites in the sense that websites exist today. So I think that's a very tough question for me to answer. I think that there's a lot of disruption going to happen, for better or for worse. And I think specific to creators, digital creators who may code or may create content or images or art or something like that, in the near term, AI is going to, I think, help us create more. And in addition, in the same vein, I think it's also going to really kind of realign us with human created content. I know for a fact that AI art looks really cool, but if I'm going to go and buy art, it's going to be from an artist that I know created it themselves. And same with content. I still run a small blog on Isotropic, and I don't want AI content. I want human created content because I know a human can kind of think about things in a different way than AI can. So I think looking in the near term, there's going to be a lot of impact, but I think the impact will be a net positive for people who learn how to adopt AI into what they do every day. So with WordPress, it's use CodeWP to be a more efficient creator. You as a developer, it's not going to replace your job. At the end of the day, a client will never be able to say, I want this, and then a complete website that is exactly what they want shows up, because as a website creator and developer, you're as much a consultant to help them figure out what they want as you are an implementer. Same goes for art, same goes for writing. Really everything, I think, will be positively impacted in the near term. And then when you look into the far term and the far future, it's really all speculation just because things move so fast. But I think that AI is going to impact us in such a way that it's impossible to even think about right now. And it's going to, if we do it right, impact us in such a beneficial and positive way that we'll look back in 10 years and be like, I can't believe we did things like that. I can't believe it was like that back then. So for me, I'm a real glass half full type guy. You can definitely look at AI with a negative light, but I think if we do things right and be mindful about how we create AI products and how we implement AI into our work day and workload, and also make a mindful effort to learn about how best to leverage it as individual professionals, it's a net positive for us. We just have to do it right. But I hope the 10-year answer was good enough, but it's so hard. And I think you ask anybody 10 years in the future, it'll be crazy. 1970s, we thought we'd have flying cars, and what do we have? Segways that catch on fire now. So it's like, it's tough.
Yeah, a lot of interesting points. I think you're right about the 10-year span, because even 5 years ago, the average consumer wouldn't sort of have any sort of AI on hand to use for their essays or for their jobs or writing blogs. So I think you're dead right with that as well. As you know about the blog, I'm sure you visited quite a few times. Obviously, we've spoken before this, but we're in the business of viewing tools just like yours, basically. there's a couple 100,000 at the minute, I think, every month, sort of eyes on the blog. Now you've got those eyes on you, potentially. What would you like to say to them? Is there a message you want to talk about your tool, or maybe something you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, Gold Penguin, I think, is such an incredible resource specific to AI. And I think it's a really good way to keep in tune with the products that are coming out, CodeWP included. So I'm just excited to have people think about CodeWP, but also think about how products like it, because not everybody's a WordPress creator. Everybody is a creator in a sense, but think about how AI can impact your workflow. So if you are a WordPress creator, and I know a lot in the industry, I think there was a survey that said 60% know that they need to adopt AI into their workflow. If you are a WordPress creator, take a look at CodeWP and see how it can, number one, in its current form, impact your workflow for the better. But also number two, if you become a user and if you start leveraging CodeWP in its current form, you will be one of those users that I talked about earlier that really direct the future of the product. So I think getting in on the ground floor for AI, be it CodeWP, be it a creation tool like Photoshop Generative Fill, be it a writing tool like ChatGPT or any of the other ones out there, get in on the ground floor and really integrate it into your workflow. Learn how to leverage AI for the better. Do not be afraid of it, because it's here and it's here to stay. So those who learn how to leverage tools like CodeWP, like ChatGPT, all of these different value add tools to creators, if you learn how to leverage it now, you will be at a big, big positive advantage in the future compared to people around you, but also just personally. You'll have more time for your actual life in the future. You'll have a more efficient and more happy workflow. So I think the real takeaway is CodeWP is awesome, but in general, AI is awesome. And learning how best to use it now in 2023 is probably the most impactful thing you can do for your own personal, not just career, but own personal life. It's going to really impact for the better every aspect of life. So learn it now, and you won't regret it.
I think you might be right, James. Well, I mean, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for your time today. Been a pleasure to talk to you. Very insightful stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Super excited to see where this podcast specifically goes. I love hearing about other people's stories about, number one, how they get to the product that they're building, and also how they're building, and little tidbits about what they're doing that I can build into my tools and vice versa. So thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed this conversation and very excited to see where the podcast goes.
Thank you very much. I guess we'll leave it there then. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.